Do you like dumb vlog videos like this? Well, Ray made me on his own computer. Pretty cool, huh? Check out his Patreon if you're interested.
Alright, hey guys, I just wanted to make a quick video just sort of demonstrating how my workflow works. If you've ever seen those videos online where they use VO3 to make like vlog videos and stuff like that, that's actually really easy to do locally if you have the hardware to do it. I'm going to show today basically how much memory it uses. I'm going to show what I actually do before, to actually prep before I generate the video. The easiest way to kind of think of this is in steps. So for the first step, you want to try and prepare your start and end frame. So the way I got it set up here is you can turn some of these groups off. That way you don't use them all at once. So you definitely want to deactivate this group here and this group here if you're not using a second subject. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the image to video and voiceover output for now. And the first thing I want to do is figure out how many frames I want to generate. Right now it's set to 240 frames. It's about 10 seconds. Also the width and height is set to 640. This controls the seed for pretty much everything. So all the samplers are hooked up to the same seed, and you can set it to fixed so that way when you generate it, if it goes through here the first time, it won't generate again unless you change the seed or you change something about any of these values. And that includes your steps or any of these values in green here. If you change any of those values after you generate a prompt, then it's going to go through and generate the whole thing again. So you got to be kind of careful about that. But right now I'm just going to kind of demonstrate how it works. So basically all the settings you kind of want to leave the same here for the Flux Kontext, unless you get like a LoRa or something you want to add to it. I don't have the LoRa, any kind of LoRa hooked up to it. They don't have a lot of support right now for Flux Kontext. I'm hoping that they actually come out with an uncensored version of the model, because this one seems to be pretty crippled. You can't do a whole lot with it, like when it comes to like not safe for work content, or just simply like changing out like clothes and stuff that they're wearing can be difficult to make it do. You want to get your first image set up, and I've got a separate prompt here for the first image. And basically you can take any image of any person and it will automatically put that person into whatever situation you want to put them in, pretty much. So you can see here right now he's just kind of standing on a cliff in this image. In the prompt I say show him with his arms to the side in a desert environment. Then when I run this, it's going to generate here first. It's going to go through this first context sampler, and you'll get a preview of the first image, and then that image is going to get transferred down here to the second sampler. And then on the second frame you can define what you want him to do in the second frame. So you can say, well, I've got it set to zoom in, portrait side of him of him crossing his arms. So this is, you want to kind of think about what does he do at the end of the scene. That's what you're going to try to aim for in this frame. So we'll go ahead and generate this just so I can show you how it works. You can see I've got a combined preview here. As if you're using two subjects, you can combine two different people together into the same scenario. I haven't really tested the multi-talk with two different characters yet, so that's something else I'm going to have to kind of look into. And you can see there, Flux went pretty fast. In 30 steps, that's what we got. So the same characters, different pose. And now he's gonna have a different pose down here because it's taking this image that we just generated and it's going to put him in a different pose. You see there now the shot is closer and it shows him crossing his arms. So now that we've got both the start and end frame, we can focus on the image to video. I'm going to go ahead and enable the image to video, and you don't have to disable these nodes. As long as you're using the same seed and you haven't changed anything, it won't regenerate these pictures. It'll automatically forward them to the image to video output. And I've already got a voiceover set up here.
If this is the end for me, I'm going to make it count. I will not let evil destroy my world.
Now, if you don't know who this character is, it's supposed to be Goku from Dragon Ball. It's just a more live action version of him. So now, I don't know if I want to generate all 240 frames, but we'll go ahead and do that. You know, I'm just gonna, let's see, 6 seconds. So I'm just gonna make the video 6 seconds itself. So you want to kind of calculate that. So just go 24 times 6, and that's how many frames you need for 6 seconds. So we'll change the total frame to 100, and we'll just go 140. Yeah, 140. Keep it at 6 steps. 6 steps seems to work pretty well. Then we're gonna go down here. See. Now I've played around with this quite a bit. It seems to have a little bit of trouble, like with the end frame. I don't know exactly what causes it, but I set the end frame strength a little bit higher, and also you want to kind of like cue what you want him to do in the image to video prompt. So you see here at the end of the scene, the view very slowly zooms in. Right, so you want to kind of cue what you want it to do at the end of the prompt, and then that will activate the end frame a little bit better. Because a lot of times they don't always want to go to the end frame for some reason. I'm not sure why. Here is where everything's set up, and we're going to go ahead and generate the video. Now when you do it the first time, it's going to have to load the model, so I'm going to let it run through here. You can kind of see how much RAM it uses. I'm also going to show that once it starts generating here, and you can kind of, you know, get an expectation of how much RAM you're going to need just to generate a 6-second video locally on your computer. Also down here, you want to kind of pay attention, like if you don't have Sage Attention installed on your Comfy UI setup, set this to SDPA, and it'll be slower than what mine is, because Sage Attention, you know, will speed you up quite a bit, about 50%, 50 to 100%. It'll speed you up quite a bit, and you can kind of get an idea of how much RAM it's using right now. It's using quite a bit. So I mean, 88% of my VRAM and 93% of my RAM, which is crazy. Usually it don't use that much, but it's probably where I'm recording and stuff right now too, so it's making it a little bit harder on my system. If I go to performance here, you can see just how much memory is being used on my system. But system RAM is actually pretty cheap to get. So right now it's using 89 right now, and I've only got 6 gigabytes left right now, which is kind of insane. And if I go down here, I can see how much of my video card is being used right now. So I'm recording, you know, and doing this at the same time. It's really putting a lot of stress on my system, but I just wanted to show y'all just how crazy it is. But it's not, you know, it's not beyond the realm of, you know, just average users. You can get a lot of RAM for your system. Like I could get much more than this if I wanted to. Like right now I just got 2 sticks. They're like 40 something gigabytes a piece, and that's what's giving me most of my RAM. And I think that only cost me like maybe like $200 or something to buy those 2 sticks. So it's not that bad. I mean, for the amount that you would have to pay for Google's fucking VO. So if I look up VO here, and I go to subscription, look how much you got to pay a month. I go to upgrade here. Look how much you got to pay a month for this Google AI Ultra at $124 a month. So to just buy enough RAM to go on your system to be able to use this workflow locally would cost you a one-time payment. While as this, you're having to pay this, and you're not going to get unlimited generations from this. Okay. Here's what they give you: 12,000 monthly credits. Okay. I did the free plan there that they give you like 800 credits or something like that, 900 or 800 credits. I blew through those 900 credits just making a 3-minute video of Bigfoot. So that Bigfoot vlog video that's on my channel, I blew through those 900 credits just making a 3-minute video. So you can imagine 12,000 credits. I mean, just think about it. I mean, if every 1,000 credits only gets you maybe a 3-minute to 5-minute video. And here's the thing, not all the generations that you make are going to work. You know, they're not going to be exactly what you wanted them to be. You'll have to regenerate it again and again, and that's going to use up your credits. So 12,000 credits will disappear really quick. I would say you might get, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 minutes out of 12,000 credits if you're lucky. Because I think it uses like maybe 100 credits or more for every generation, and every generation is only about, 6 to 7 seconds at the most, so they're not very long. While as with this, you can make even longer generations, and you have more control over the subject that you're using. And if you use something like Vase, you can basically change the poses and everything and make your own little video of a person or avatar doing whatever you want them to do. So you can see here, it's going pretty quick. It's already about 33% done. And then once it gets through here, again, it'd probably be around 60% done. So it says it's on step 2 of 6. And it's just been running the whole time I've been talking, pretty much. So I usually don't take too long at all to make a 6-second video on my system. But again, I do have 5090, I do have Sage Attention and all that shit, and I got a lot of RAM. That's the main thing. You're gonna need a lot of RAM. Like I said, RAM is pretty cheap. You can go to like Newegg. I'm just gonna show you here on Newegg what you can expect to pay for RAM, and it depends on your system. If you got an older system, DDR4 RAM, it should be even cheaper. But if we go to computer peripherals, well, not computer peripherals, but pretty sure, yeah, servers and workstations. Just go to view all. Pretty sure it'll be in components. You got server processor, you got a bunch of stuff here. But if you just search up RAM or whatever RAM you have, so like if it's DDR5, search that up, and you can see how much RAM is. For 32 gigs, only $86. And if you've already got 32 gigs in your system, you buy another 32 gigs, well, that's like 64 gigs for $86. Whereas compared to going on here and paying this every month and only get maybe 30 minutes of generation, and you don't even know if all that time is going to be usable. So is that really worth it in the end? I don't think it is. It may be easier to use, because you just got to put in a text prompt, but it don't take much to get, comfy UI set up on your computer. There's plenty of tutorials out there that show you exactly how to do it. So it doesn't take long for you to get it set up. You can see here, it's already 67% done while I've been talking. Another thing is like with the multi-talk embeds, if you set the scale higher, you're going to notice a lot more movement in their mouth. Like they're going to basically, I think setting the scale higher is kind of like increasing the volume of their text, the noise and stuff coming from the audio. And the CFG scale has a big effect on how much movement there is in their mouth and stuff like that. So if you set that really high, they're going to be moving around a lot more. It also depends on how many steps you go through too, I've noticed. So if you don't go through, well, not how many steps, but how many frames you actually use. Like if you use too many frames, it actually kind of slows down the movement a little bit. But if you use too little frames, it makes them move a lot. So if you just go with the base, like 81 frames, that Wan usually is meant to generate, you're going to get, the action and movement a lot quicker. But it really just depends. So you could go into your context options, which I've got a node up here specifically for your context frame. Now I should have set this down lower where I decrease the total frame. You want this to be about a half of your total frames. because basically what this is like it's memory of the previous generation. So it's thinking back to those previous 128 frames after every 128 frames, and that's how it remembers what it did before, so that it can generate a coherent video. So if you look here, this right here, overlap, this is how many frames overlap with the previous frame. That's the context frame, if they're set to 96, and there's going to be a 64 frame overlap of those 96 frames, so that it kind of remembers what the last context frame was, so it generates a coherent video. If you set this value too low, you're going to get some artifacting, some glitching and stuff like that, because it doesn't remember what the last frames was enough to dictate what it's going to do moving forward, if that makes sense. I don't really know how to explain it. So this looks, really complex. I tried to make it as simple to use as possible. Basically, everything that you want to mess with is highlighted in green. So with your input images, all that stuff, anything that you want to actually mess with, it's all highlighted in green. And it's up to you whether or not you want to mess around with the rest of the stuff. I'm not going to dictate to you how you should use the workflow exactly, but I'm going to give you some tips. You see here, we've got the finished video. And you see he goes across his arm, but the video just wasn't long enough. Just wasn't long enough for him to cross his arms.
I will not.
So I'm going to show you how it turned out here. So you see he goes across his arm just as it was put here. If there was a little bit more frame, he would have finished that. But I lowered it because, I'm recording and stuff at the same time, and that's using up RAM and VRAM, so I didn't want it to burn itself out. I'm going to show you the actual finished. Let's go into, I know I have it here somewhere. Yeah, Dragon Ball. So see, here is the upscaled version of it.
If this is the end for me, I'm going to make it count. I will not let evil destroy my world. If this is the end.
And that was upscaled using Starlight. So you can get the Starlight model from Topaz. Topaz costs a little bit of money, but it's still something you can still use locally on your own system. They do have a cloud service that you can use to generate the upscaled video, so that's pretty handy for people that don't have the specifications in order to upscale the video. To me, this is the best way of doing it. Generate a low resolution first and then put it through an upscaler. And for the sound effects, there are a lot of open source projects now that will automatically generate sound effects for you in the background. So you could just run this through an open source sound effect generator and get the same kind of quality and output as VO3. But except with this, you've got a lot more control over what the starting frame is, what the ending frame is. For example, if you wanted to do a vlog type video, you can make the subject do pretty much whatever you want. So you could say, show him standing, holding the camera, vlog style, or selfie style would be more accurate. And we could say at McDonald's. Right, you see a lot of these goofy vlog videos or whatever, and they're at some restaurant or something, smoking crack or something. I don't know. They're doing something. You see, it's going to run through and it's going to generate an image again. It's going to put him at McDonald's doing a selfie style pose. I also like to add this last seed used just because, if you've got it set to randomize, it won't be. It'll change the seed as soon as you generate something, so it won't be the actual seed that it used. So the last seed used is actually right here. And if you generated something you had it set on randomize, you can just copy the last seed and put it here. So see, you put him at McDonald's, but he's holding his freaking phone out or whatever, and you could put you can make some goofy audio of him talking and be like, "Hey guys, I'm at McDonald's. I'm gonna buy me a Big Mac," or something stupid, and make these goofy selfie video. And of course, it's going to show him with his arm crossed at McDonald's now. It about got the name McDonald's right. It kind of messed up there at the top. We could put him, let's see, try POV selfie style, standing at the Grand Canyon. So now it's going to put him at the Grand Canyon. And you see, it does a good job keeping the same likeness, even though this is pretty low resolution for it to be fed in. I found that works better though when you're making large changes to the image to give it a low resolution version first. So that wasn't enough for it to change it. I guess it thought the image he was already in was the Grand Canyon. Let's change it to something else, change it to, I don't know, the freaking North Pole. Now, yeah, for some reason, it's not wanting to change. So when it does that, you can put change the background to winter at the North Pole. So now it should work. Like I said, Flux Kontext is kind of finicky. If you put certain words in here, for some reason, it will automatically stop itself from basically editing the picture because it's so freaking filtered that I believe that's what it's doing in the background. So like if you put a certain word in here, it might be North Pole that I put in here. Maybe that's copyrighted or something. I don't know. But we'll see if it goes through this time. Okay, so now it did change it to winter time, but for some reason it didn't want to put him at the North Pole. It just changed the environment to winter behind him. So you can see kind of the limitations of this model. Like you can't say stuff like, oh, show him nude at the beach, right? That's not going to work. I'm going to show you. I'll go ahead and generate it there. If for some reason it does work, I will blur it out, but I don't think that it's going to work. You can see as soon as I use some kind of censored term in the prompt, it will not do anything to that picture. It's like it stops itself from editing the picture. So that's why you got to kind of be careful about your terminology that you use in the prompt until somebody makes an uncensored version of Flux Kontext that doesn't do that shit, you know. But I'm pretty sure they put all kinds of barriers in place to prevent you from basically just taking anybody's picture and making them completely nude. But there are ways around that. I'm not going to get into that discussion, but yeah, there are ways around it where you can basically take anyone's picture and make them naked. I don't condone that because you shouldn't do stuff like that to people without their permission, but it is possible, right? So that's why I say everybody needs to be careful about what they post about themselves on the internet. And that's mainly why I do a faceless channel because, well, I don't want my face all over the internet. And if you're smart, you wouldn't be plastering your face all over the internet either. And like I said, though, I mean, it uses a lot of RAM. You can see it's using like 79% of my RAM right now, even though I'm not generating anything. Just having the models loaded in the background uses a ton of RAM. But like I said, though, it's easy for you to just get some RAM off of Newegg for cheap, and I would get, you know, more than 60. If you can afford it, I would get more than 64 gigabytes. You know? So, like, if you've already got 32 gigs in your system, and you get this 2x 32 gigs, that right there is going to give you plenty enough RAM, because then you're going to have what, 32 plus 64? That's plenty enough RAM right there, man. That's how much RAM I've got right now. And if you can afford to get more, because that's all you really need, you know, besides like maybe a 24 gigabyte card. If you go down here, this is what you want to look at. The higher you put this number, the more it will swap the model over to your system RAM. Okay, so right now I just got it on 5, right? Because my card can hold most of the model as it is right now. But if you find that it's using up all your GPU or your VRAM, if it's using up all your VRAM when you try to load the model, then you want to make this number higher, and you can take it up to, it tells you right there, you see that pop up, it says transport up 14 billion parameter model has 40 blocks. So you could put it up to 20, you know, and swap half the model onto your system RAM. Now, it's going to generate the video a lot slower, but it's still going to make it possible for you to generate these videos locally on your system instead of having to depend on something like Google. You know, like I said, do you really think this is worth it, paying that much money per month for something that you're only going to get about maybe 30 minutes at the most out of per month of video? While I was with this system here, I could generate fucking 50 videos a day if I wanted to. You know, if I really wanted to, I could just sit out here and churn out videos all day and be posting them every freaking 4 hours if I wanted to. But that just shows you, you know, the kind of power that, you know, AI gives you. It's giving you the ability to do a lot of these things. I like open source because you can do it on your own system. You know, you don't need to pay for these big fancy subscription models. So right now I'm going to X this out. I'll show you what I use to generate the voiceover and stuff. We can get that to X out.
I will not let.
Yeah, I'm going to X out this because Chrome kind of froze up on me where I'm so low on RAM. And you can see I've got a couple of different things here. I even have the Omni Gen 2, which is a little bit more uncensored. If I go into the Chatterbox here, which is fairly new, I made a custom app for it so that it could generate more than just, you know, a short little, I don't know, a couple of seconds. I'm gonna demonstrate that to you here. It's just gonna load up the model in the background now, and then once it gets loaded here, I'm just gonna hold control and click the link, and you can see it already comes with some text in it, but I changed it to where I can select voices like on my other the voice to book that I had set up for F5 TTS and all that shit. I've still got all that on here, and here's the Goku voice. And basically, like, yeah, I can, you know, take any kind of text here and put it in here, and it could be, you know, as long as a book, but it'll still read out the whole thing. Now, I usually like to put the CFG scale down pretty low and keep this around like 0.65 or something. More options. I usually put the temperature down a little bit. I don't keep it too high, put it down a little bit. And then I added post-processing effects here. So I got noise reduction, usually I enable that. Dynamic range, compression. And that's about all I usually put on there. I can do the silence remover and stuff like that. And then I enable the audio effect. And then I can go to any AI tool, or I can just open up Ask Gemini. I can say, you know, tell me a story, the character Goku. So Goku's perspective in the Dragon Ball universe. It's going to tell me a short story. I'm just going to copy that, and I'll show you how long it takes to generate. It'll speak out the whole story pretty much. So I'm thinking, you know, for longer generations, if you wanted to generate, you know, a character like kind of speaking out a story like this, you might could split up the audio into several parts in the workflow, and then just have it go through and generate, you know, only about 6 seconds at a time, maybe less depending on your system. And that way it'll take all the videos that it generated and just kind of stitch them together at the end. So one way you could probably do it is probably by using multiple samplers and then just taking the end frame from each video that's generated and using it as a start frame in the next sampler. It would still be using the same model, so I might try to work on something like that. You can see here, it's going pretty quick, and then you see here how far it is and how many chunks it's split it into. So the regular Chatterbox don't have this system implemented yet. I don't know why they didn't implement chunking, but it works pretty well. And this is one of the longest ones I've put in here, so this is going to be a pretty good test of it to see if it works. See, went through and did the whole thing, and that's like a 2-minute long speech, basically a 2-minute long story, and it generated it pretty quickly. See how many seconds was it? It didn't take long.
I stretched, feeling my muscles pop and crack. It felt good, like my body was waking up and getting ready for some serious action. Gohan was still asleep, probably dreaming of books or something quiet. Goten, on the other hand, was already up, bouncing around like a super ball. He gets that from me, I guess. Dad, let's go, Goten yelled, already in his fighting stance, little fists clenched. I chuckled. Slow down there, Goten. Gotta warm up first or you'll pull a muscle. We started with some basic katas, me mimicking movements I'd learned from Master Roshi, then Korin, then King Khan. It was funny, really. All those years, all those teachers, and I was still learning, still finding new ways to get stronger. Pushed you further. Someone even stronger. As we moved, I felt my Kai stirring, that familiar warmth spreading through me. It's like a fire always there, ready to blaze up if you need it. We practiced our energy blasts. Small ones at first, just enough to leave scorch marks on a rock, then bigger ones that made the trees sway. Goten was getting good, really good. He'd even surprised me with a quick move, a jab I didn't see coming. Almost had me there, Goten, I said, grinning. I'm gonna be stronger than you someday, Dad, he declared, puffing out his chest. I laughed. Keep training like that, and you just might. After a while, we took a break. Chi-Chi would be calling us in for breakfast soon, and I was getting seriously hungry. As I sat there, watching Goten try to teach a squirrel how to do a Kamehameha, I thought about all the fights I'd been in, all the times I'd pushed myself to the limit. Frieza, Cell, Boo, each one a reminder of how much more there was to learn. It's not just about winning, though. It's about the challenge, about facing someone powerful and seeing how far you can go. It's about protecting the people you care about, sure, but it's also about that feeling you get when you break past your own limits. It's exhilarating. It's why I can't ever stop. Dad! Chi-Chi's calling! Goten yelled, interrupting my thoughts. My stomach rumbled loudly in agreement. Racia! I shouted, already on my feet, and as I zoomed towards the smell of breakfast, I knew that no matter what new threats came, no matter how strong the next villain was, I'd be ready. Because there's always a new limit to break, and I'm always hungry for more, both for food and for power.
So you can see there, it read out the entire story. At some points it sounded a little bit glitchy and stuff like that, but you can always fix stuff like that in post. It's mainly due to the way, I guess it's reading Goku's voice, because the way that they record him for the anime and stuff like that, they add like a lot of different. This one ain't the cleanest version of his voice for it to read from. So still though, it's pretty effective. You don't need 11 labs to basically make voiceovers anymore. You can do a lot of this stuff still locally on your computer, and this don't use near as much processing power as, the video editing and using comfy UI and all that stuff. That uses a lot more processing power than this does. So that's about it, guys. I appreciate y'all going to my Patreon and supporting me and everything. I really do appreciate it. You guys really helped me out, and I'm looking forward to basically making more workflows in the future, making more little tools and stuff for you guys to use, try and make it easier, because I believe all this AI stuff should be open source, and I think it should be available to everybody. And I don't think it should be just in the hands of big corporate entities that are basically taking your money and getting rich off of it. I think everybody should have a chance to be able to use this technology. Anyways, thank you guys, and take it easy.